For this video, we're looking at section C, which is design ideas. This is the initial design ideas. And on here we're looking at 4 parts for section C. The first is looking at the way you generate ideas. It says you need to create imaginative, creative and innovative ideas and avoid design fixation. So design fixation is when you're copying directly or you are not trying to experiment with different ideas. Your design ideas need to consider functionality, aesthetics and innovation. Throughout the design ideas you're expected to continue looking at research, so hopefully when you design one of your ideas that might trigger some area of research you have to do further, so it's a further investigation to things like ergonomics or materials or processes. Your design ideas need to show extensive experimentation. You need to show good communication both with your drawing skills and your annotation, and you need to adapt different design strategies. So you might be working collaboratively with somebody, you might get feedback from your client, or you might get feedback from people in the class or your teacher. You also might use the iterative design process. So for this one you're going to produce 3 or 4 slides with the title design ideas on there, and you need to demonstrate different approaches and different skills. So you might do sketches, modelling with foam, modelling with card, you might use MDF or plywood too. And you also might model with SketchUp or TechSoft, so doing 2D or 3D models. You need to consider your early research, so the needs and wants of your client is really important. You need to consider the research you've done thoroughly and look at your specification. So the specification should be a guide to how you approach your designs. And again, you might do additional research. So looking at ergonomics, material properties, and the way something might be manufactured in school, and you might compare that to how it's manufactured in industry too. With the iterative design process as one of your design strategies, it's a flexible approach where you either design, make and review your design ideas. Now, with this process, you're building up a range of design ideas by experimenting with different techniques and processes. And the reviews are meant to inform your next design idea. So you might draw an idea, then model it, then review it. And that review informs the next design. You might just go straight in and model an idea. You might just design it on paper and realise there's no scope to develop that, review that idea, then move on. So it's flexible. But the idea is that the more of these iterative designs you produce, the more experimentation you do, which means the more learning you're doing, which ultimately in the process of this NEA you're going to score higher marks because you are looking at different areas all the time. This is some examples of models that have been created in the past based on this outcome. So we're looking at outdoor living and use of furniture in the garden. So when you're producing your models, you need to think about keywords like imagination, creative, innovative. You think about the function and the aesthetics of the product. We're trying to avoid fixation, so we're trying to move designs on. You must consider further research and look at those design strategies. So on here you've got designs which are made from card, MDF, some will be laser cut, some are drawn, some are using SketchUp, different levels of skill, but that's what some of these students have produced so far. Once you've done that, you need to present your work. Remember that we are looking at a range of experimentation and we're looking at excellent communication. So with this example we've got 4 pages showing how the products have been made. On these pages you've got good communication, you've got links back to your research that happened in previous parts of the project. You've got further bits of research happening on each page as well. So the student hasn't just stopped, they've continued looking at other elements that might influence their design. There's a lot of reflection in those 4 pages. To help you with your annotations, you might use some of the questions on here. So on that last example, there's lots of written work supporting the modelling and design that was going on. So make sure you describe your product, make sure you talk about the features of your product. It's really important that you discuss the client and user and how suitable the product is for that user. Discuss the needs and wants, link back to your design brief specification. Discuss what you think of the product. Try and get your client to give you some feedback on what the product's like. So that could be directly from your client, or it could be some third-party feedback from other students in the classroom. Discuss what needs to change, and also discuss what research you need to do, and then go and do that research. Also on this page you might look, or you might discuss how you made the product. Some of these annotations you might do in the next stage where you talk about design development, but you can start talking about materials and processes now if you are starting to firm up some ideas going forward. To help with the annotation, you could also revert back to the Access FM information that we looked at with the product analysis and the design specification. So this might help you produce a more thorough review of your designs. Previously, as well, I've discussed using this revision book to help. It's got several pages on there that you can use to help with your work. And then to finish off with is a checklist to make sure that you've completed everything possible.